I feel like I'm getting kind of far out there. You know, I know that, again, some of my followers have been asking me about the raw vegan thing, and I still need to make that video. As soon as I make it, I'll put it up probably before you even see this one, just about why, and answer some of the questions that I've gotten, because I know I have been more of an outspoken person against raw veganism in the past. I think mainly that is not because I've seen so many people go raw vegan and then become ex-vegan, but because the times that I tried it, I tried to be raw vegan, or any little version of raw vegan that I was doing at that time, I felt deprived. I couldn't get enough to eat, or I didn't get enough to eat. And honestly, I feel, and I'm not trying to tell other people to go vegan. I think I'm just going to make this the video right now in this crappy ass lighting. But I'm not trying to tell other people you have to go vegan. This is the best way for everybody. Do this now. I think this is a big transitional thing, and I think you should probably be vegan. You should be detoxed to a certain point. You should be used to high fiber. You should be used to raw foods, etc., etc., etc. You should have your mind wrapped around it. And at this point, you know, as I've said in previous videos, it's not just my body is wanting this stuff. It's not just that my mind has really latched on to scientific reasons for this. It's not just these things. It's those things combined, you know, the feeling, number one, you know, just wanting fresh foods, number one, the science, yes, it's huge, but it's also the spirituality piece kind of wrapped into that, all into one. So, and also just realizing how cheap this stuff really can be. I mean, these sprouts are cheap, and it's fun, and, you know, to be able to grow your own food, priceless, right? I mean, I always was, oh, look, shit hits the fan, you know, we need to have stockpiles of food, stockpiles of water. And it's like, if you have seeds like this that you can just literally sprout. I mean, I've always said that, like, oh, well, you need potatoes, because you can be like, what's that movie where he's on Mars? I forget what it's called. He's able to survive because he can plant the potatoes. But the problem with that is you always have to have potatoes on hand. So if you have the seeds on a lot of food, and if you have like different beans, you know, that, I mean, probably all beans can be sprouted. I'm not sure how edible and delicious they are. It's got to be good. And not to say that you could completely probably survive, but you could probably survive for quite some time if you had a good stockpile of just of sprouts and stuff. And I mean, yeah, you need water, but at least it's not like rice where you have to like cook it. I mean, you could stockpile on rice, which I always have rice, but anyway, I guess what I'll do now, since I started this, I was going to make some juice, but I'm going to take a break and get some of the questions and everything down that I had and address those specifically, because I care about you guys and I want you to know, you know, that I do, and I want you to know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And again, I'm not going to be that vegan that's like everybody has to go raw vegan. I realize that this is what my channel is going to be geared towards. So if you're not necessarily as interested in it, you know, I may lose some followers or whatever, but honestly, I'm not in this game, you know, I'm not here just to get as many followers as possible and try to make money off of it. Like, I'm here to change the world, and I got to be myself in order to do that. So, you know, I apologize if this isn't something that you're interested in, but I also encourage you to keep an open mind, because, you know, if that is you, then just like you, then I was also telling myself the same thing. And I do feel like I've gotten some real tangible benefits out of this. So stay tuned. Okay, so hey guys, I'm back, and I just want to talk to you guys about some of these comments. I went back and revisited them, and I just want to talk about it. And I had two comments that really spoke out to me that I screenshotted. I'm not sure if I had more than that or not. So yeah, David Henderson commented that, you know, he was asking, well, what's the upside of going raw for you? Mentioned something about, you know, he didn't see the upside to going fully raw, that it was hard, you know, for him or for someone, for usually anyone, you know, let's just face it and be honest, to not have cooked foods. And then another person And this person is, I'm not sure what their screen handle is supposed to be, but it's FTWBK. They had a little bit more to say. They were saying that I was going to be the next ex-vegan, that, they wanted to know why they thought this was going to be a good idea. They said, is this some sort of conspiracy? Kind of condescendingly asked, do you think you're going to be able to do it better than all the rest of the YouTubers that did this? And then I quote, that type of arrogance has hurt the vegan YouTube community immensely. So I get what you're saying. I've even kind of generalized this same theory and sentiment and made videos about this in the past. Went on to say there's a 99% failure rate, which I'm not sure exactly where they're getting those statistics. But, also I want to just make a real quick note before I get into the rest of this, that a lot of people say that about veganism in general. So she says, why would I choose those odds? Why not just take a normal, balanced approach? I wanted to do the quotes around the normal, balanced approach, and then brings up the point, look how many Indians thrive on a largely plant-based diet. And again, this is not a valid argument, because if you're going to look at all the Indians, yes, there's more vegan Indians probably than there are, like, percentage-wise American vegans. However, vegans as a whole they eat more plant-based, but they eat a lot of dairy, a lot of ghee, a lot of butter, buttermilk, a lot of cheese, paneer cheese, stuff like that. So this is not a real good, if you're talking about this in regards to veganism, it's not a really good thing to bring up, because then somebody might think, oh, well, that's why they do so well on this plant-based, is because they're eating cheese, so we should continue to eat cheese, which actually, cheese is horrible. And, in many ways, it's worse than eating other non-vegan foods. Just wanted to let you know kind of what I'm dealing with here, what the questions are, what the rest of this video is going to be about. So basically, the first, thing to address is, why the hell am I doing this? Why do I think it's a good idea? What's the upside of doing this? As I've said in different videos, I'm doing this because I feel like it. I'm not doing this, because I think other people should do it, or because I want to make videos about it, or anything. I'm doing it for a few different reasons. But one of the biggest things, if you guys have watched me very long, you'll know that I don't do well with deprivation. I've never been able to have that real strong willpower to, like, don't eat that just because of some kind of dogma. So you can just cross that off the list right now. If I didn't want to do this, if my body was telling me, eat cooked foods, I want cooked foods, eat them now, I would do it, because that's just who I am. I don't have a lot of self-control. People think it takes self-control to go vegan in general, and to, like, give up these cookies and muffins and cupcakes that I see, that are free, that everybody's trying to give them to me. And I never thought that I would be that person. I say this all the time. I never thought I could ever give up a plate of free cookies, and especially the cupcakes with the icing. Like a sugar addict to the max, sweet tooth, unapologetic, all my life. I'd be the little kid that licked the icing off and said, can I have more icing? I'm the girl at the party who every single person is like, oh my gosh, this is giving me a stomachache. Like, how can you eat that icing? Like, this icing's so rich. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, this is just icing. I remember I was 17 years old, 17 or 18, and I was managing a Maggie Moo's, which, if you guys don't know what that is, it's an ice cream shop. It was one of the first, mix up the ice creams together, and it's real fancy, kind of gourmet type of shit. So obviously ate a lot of ice cream there. And I remember, hearing just a regular mom, telling her kid not to eat too much because they'll get a stomachache. And I remember thinking at that moment, wow, I have never gotten a stomachache from eating too much ice cream. Like, never. Like, I have a hard stomach. It says that in the birthday book. I was talking about the birthday book the other day, the big ass book with everybody's really detailed stuff about your exact birthday. It says that, and it says it's almost my detriment, because, like, you overdo it. And I have noticed that in my life. But anyway, to try to stay on topic here, I'm not the person who can just be like, yo, don't eat that. So I'm not, like, dieting. No. I was never very good at that. Probably too, that probably helped me because I never really threw my metabolic, shit out of whack. So why am I doing this if it's not, and I was gonna say, if it's not to lose weight and stuff like that, which I think is a big reason that a lot of people go vegan, raw vegan. And that is a big part of the reason why I wanted to do it in the past. I had heard numerous people say, oh, like Dorian Ryder has often said in the past, oh, if me and Freely were raw, we would be, 16 BMI. And it's like, oh, maybe if I want to lose these last 10 pounds, like maybe I should go raw vegan so I can get real skinny. I think underlying, like, that's why I wanted to do it. Then you get caught up in this idea that, oh, it's better, and you hear about these enzymes and stuff like that. And so I've wavered with that. I've struggled with that, but it's completely different now. And I know I said that last time too, but this time is also completely different. So number one, why am I doing this now is because I feel like it. My body is just drawn to whole live raw foods right now. And again, it's May, and May in Missouri means that it's springtime. So seasonally, this is going to be a really natural thing for me to do right now. In fact, the actual, the week that I really started doing this, or maybe the second week, is the week it got really warm. So that's not a coincidence. And I'm not saying that I'm going to 100% be fully raw, and I'm not saying that I'm going to be raw even in any context forever. I'm having hunches, I'm having feelings like I will, but I'm not putting anything on myself to do that. So I'm kind of answering different questions in different ways, because again, this is what I do. I don't necessarily have this big linear mode of thought. We're all over the place. So sticking with the upsides for now, and then I'll go on to the other questions. The upsides are, I feel better. It's just what I'm drawn to. And in the past, that's a thing that when I ate raw, I don't know if I was doing it wrong or if I was doing it differently, or if I just wasn't ready, in my journey for that at that moment. Or if a lot of times I try to go raw in the middle of winter. I noticed that this winter, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this now? This seems silly, but I'm doing it anyway. But the upside for me is that it's what I want to do. My body is telling me, my mind is also telling me. And I think that's the second upside for me, is that I do now believe it's healthier. Maybe that's placebo effect, working with each other from my belief to my body, but I do feel better. It is what I naturally want to eat. And the upside for me, that the key piece mentally that I've learned lately is about the microbiome. Because everything that I've learned in the past, oh, well, the nutrients are more. You get more nutrients this way. Well, yes, but there's so many different, factors to that. Eating raw, of course, does not make every nutrient more. We have lycopene and different things. When you cook certain foods like tomatoes, they actually have more lycopene. When you cook certain foods, yes, they can lose minerals, but a lot of times if you save the water, drink the water, which I often did, you can kind of balance that out and you still get some of those minerals. So the vitamins, the minerals, I don't know what, honestly, cooking's effect on the phytonutrients and like the antioxidants, I don't even know. That's unknown. And I think there are a lot of unknowns. So that's where you kind of look at, okay, the natural piece. And yes, we haven't had a fully, raw culture or society lately, but when you look at it in a certain light, before, our species was very evolved, we didn't have control of fire. And what did we do? We ate raw. And what do all of the natural, wild animals on Earth do? Every single one of them, besides humans, is eating raw. So to me, these things are clicking. And the enzymes, that's kind of been in my head before. People say the enzymes are so important in live raw foods. And I think, again, there's something to this, but it's not the end all be all. I think that, yes, you probably do get more enzymes, but it's not a proven fact that you don't get any enzymes from cooked foods. So we need enzymes. Enzymes are great for keeping your weight down, for keeping you healthy, regenerative, etc. So all of these things are kind of gray areas, but the one thing that got me scientifically and mentally is realizing about the microbes and getting into more kind of, and Dan, the man life regenerator, had first said it, and all of the research, but the little research that I've had the time to do since hearing that has sort of backed it up. And I think, again, it's very new science, and it's just something that clicked with me and it made sense and it's sticking with me so far. So mentally, that would be the upside, is that you're not having altered microbiome. You're having a raw microbiome. You're still getting, you're not having dead bacteria, basically, because heat is going to kill most of the bacteria and the good bacteria in your food. So if you want to have the best digestion, then going raw is going to be a good thing for you to do. I have not had issues necessarily with my digestion, but I still feel like a little bit bloated lately. And even, going, and really what's been happening with me prior to going raw is that I finally feel like I've gotten my fats really far low, not like super, super, super duper low, throughout every single day, throughout months and months and months, but like more low where I want it over the course of time. And then, maybe have like a little bit more fats on the weekends or whatever. But what I've always wanted is ultimate health. And I feel like if this diet that I've been on, this high carb, just high carb diet, mostly whole food, plant, all plant-based, but mostly whole foods and a lot raw, if that was really going to, be the ultimate diet, I feel like I would be farther along, close to my goals, where I want to be. If it were, I just feel like I want more, and I feel like I'm not getting it. And again, it's nothing big, little pooch, it's just, that's what it is. So it is just an experiment. And I'm just sharing my journey, but that's kind of what I'm hoping the upside will be. But again, the upside is, this is what my body's calling me to eat right now. So that's what I'm eating. There's none of this, oh, it's so hard for me, because I'm not really wanting cooked foods. Again, if I get super hungry, then yeah, I'll splurge and eat a bagel. And I haven't, been really I've been like maybe 4 days, like 99% raw, but I'm still using up old foods and I'm not fully raw. I'm not really ever even planning on going 100% raw at this point and being fully raw. So when people are asking me that, that's the easy answer to that, is that I've never been a fanatic about 100% about doing that. And so that also takes away for the other comment, this 99% failure rate that is supposed 99% failure rate, which is total, probably bogus. And again, like I said in my last, why are people not staying vegan or whatever? Why do we have so many ex-vegans? That was kind of one of the big main points in that video, is that, people are not leaving veganism necessarily because it's failing them, but because of society and because their friends and their family and the options that are around them and what's convenient, and just the way that our society, we can't deny the way that our society is created and built, which is obviously not the best thing for our health and everything. We can't deny that that's playing in on this as well. So just because other people are failing for whatever reasons doesn't mean that this might not be the best thing for me right now in my life. So I think that I do also just want to try it for some length of time, just to say that I could, and just to give it a fair chance, because when I've tried it in the past, again, I haven't tried it for very long. I've had biases. I've done it in kind of weird ways, and I want to see how I feel, especially now that I'm coming towards it closer and closer and feeling better and better. Okay, so you have my personal experience, you have the microbial action, scientific in the mind, and then the third thing, and perhaps the biggest thing, is that I've been kind of inspired to do this by my recent, I wouldn't even say conversion to Essenism, but just my realization that I am an Essene in my heart. I have a whole nother channel on this now. It's called KlaireeBerry Uncensored. That's all talking about my realization, because I know in my heart I've always been an Essene. I just didn't know it. it's a very exciting time for me. I mean, and let me give you some more background too. Over the past few months, guys, I have totally quit drinking. I mean, and again, I'm not going to say totally, because I've had 3 beers probably over the past 3 months. Yeah, because it's almost June now. So about 3 beers over the past 3 months, and that's been 1 beer at a time at different times. So for me, like that's the least I've ever drank since I was like a teenager and pregnant. I quit drinking, gave up coffee, and and then Easter happens, and I started getting into this research on Jesus and his diet, and guess what? Poof, here I am. All of a sudden, I'm having these, realizations that this is what I am. I am an Essene. This is the way I want to live. And I've kind of been wrestling with it. Like, are Essenes even supposed to be raw vegan? Or is that just a myth or whatever? And it's like, there's a lot of Essenes that are raw vegans. And I think like the higher up level you get into being an Essene, you are a raw vegan if you're at a high level. And so there is a lot of this going on in my head. At first, I'm like, well, do I need to be raw vegan if I'm an Essene? And then it's like, well, why do I need to be this? And so I'm researching different things, both spiritually and also health-wise. And mainly kind of short answer, not a short answer. I don't do short answers if you haven't noticed that. The upside, one of the biggest upsides for me, besides what I've already listed and spiritually, is that I feel like this is what is going to keep me in communion with God, with the universe, with the consciousness that I call God. I believe it. And from the spiritual teachings that I've started to, and I know I've lost a lot of people right there, so short answer is it's spiritual. And it's already, I feel like as I've gotten more raw, I'm already coming to an enhanced level of spirituality. So already, even though I haven't been fully raw, I'm not going fully raw necessarily, but I feel like I'm already getting benefits on numerous levels. And I am noticing, a little bit flatter of a tummy. I got down to 25.5 inches just after doing like some juicing yesterday, which is, usually I'm at 26 lately. Like 26 has been my low forever, as an adult that I can remember. So, I'm already hitting goals that I haven't hit. I'm not restricting at all. I'm still eating a lot. I'm really enjoying my food. Really, when people ask me what's the upside, my response is, what's the downside? And again, I'm not saying, oh, everybody should do this. This is what everybody should be. I think that if you're a vegan, bam, you're doing good enough. If that's good enough for you, especially right now, then so be it. There's no need to push it if you're transitioning, if your beliefs are not of such, if nothing's calling you to go raw, if you feel fine, stick with it. Because I sure did. I felt great just being a regular, I was a high carb vegan, high carb, low fat vegan for my whole entire time that I've been vegan, really. Again, not extremely low, but overall tried to be more on the low side of fats. So, I'm not judging people. I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just saying for me and my journey right now, this is where I'm at. And I feel like I'm evolving, and I feel like I'm getting better. And I know that I am, again, spiritually, I would say mentally as well, socially, psychologically, for my just my mental healing. And again, I'm hitting goals physically, like every upside in my book right now. And again, all of that, I'm not necessarily going to blame it all on the food, but from what I know and what I've learned, I think it's a really huge part. So moving on to some of the other, pieces, as I mentioned, not even planning on going fully raw, not fully raw, not looking at it as a failure. When, like the other day, just talked in a different video about how I ate 2 bagels. Big fucking whoop. I'm still in transition. I'm not caring. I don't care that much, but I know that I feel better. Automatically, I've been feeling this great energy, this like expanded chi. And I didn't feel that. I felt it kind of shrink down and lessen whenever I ate 2 bagels the other day. So, And like I said in one of the recent videos, I've been eating candy. I've been eating little things that are not raw here and there. But I feel like it's not hard for me not to have cooked food right now, except in the times that I get hungry, too busy, etc. So in those times, yes, fall back on the backup plan. I have no qualms with that. I don't see it as a failure. I don't see it as, oh, I got to start over. I'm not trying to get to a certain number of days, do a challenge just for the sake of doing a challenge. I don't believe in that at all. Again, this is a lifestyle change that I'm making, at least for this point in time. So yeah, it's hard not to have cooked foods, but if you prepare, if you have truly a good variety, this is something in the past I didn't do, a good variety of raw foods that are available to you that you can get. If you can access it, if you can prepare them, if you have the time for all of this stuff and the know-how, and I got some new tools up my sleeve, yada, 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 then it's not hard. I haven't really, even though I've like had, pitfalls, or I've had times where I've eaten cooked foods, like I said, those are the excuses. The time that I've been super busy, just wasn't prepared, just grabbed it because it was there. I don't feel like on a daily basis it's been hard. The only reason I'm eating these candies as opposed to an apple is because they're there and I kind of want to use them up so I can go ahead and keep getting on my journey. And I do have, a bunch of cornmeal that I'm going to be using up. I had 3 big tubs of it that I bought that are opened, unfortunately, that I'm going to probably just eat up. It's not me telling my body, this is what I'm going to do. And so there's not that friction. It's just the time and the place that I know that all of my body, my mind, body, and soul wants to do this. So there's no fighting. There's no like, oh my gosh, I really want, like when I first went raw till 4, it was like a struggle every day. Like, oh, I got to get till 4. I got to try to do this. I really want to eat, raw till 4 today. Is it 4 yet? Can I eat cooked foods now? It's just, there's none of that. I don't know if it's, again, because of the spiritual side, because of the mental side, because of the physical side that I'm experiencing these results. Probably all 3 put together, and just that I've been vegan, I've been raw till 4 for so long that my body is ready to move forward, and it's ready. Like, I don't ever feel like you should be stagnant just because Indians did it this way or whatever. Just because 99% of people do something one way doesn't mean that I should stay the same if I feel like I can potentially get better. And again, if I feel that at some point in time this is not what is gonna keep having me get better, then I'll stop. I'm not going to base my channel. I mean, yeah, my channel is going to be talking about this a lot, but I'm not going to come up with this identity, fully raw Christina, or, fully raw Claire, or whatever, just to have that be part of my identity. Because if I ever change my mind, I'm going to leave that open for myself. If I feel like it's not working, hell yeah, I'm going to turn around, and I still won't consider myself a failure at that point. So I think it's just a different mentality of looking at it. And again, if you're not ready, you're not ready, and you shouldn't try it. If you're not ready, you shouldn't try it. If you're not intrigued and excited about it, don't even do it. So moving on to some of these other comments. Oh, I'm the next ex-vegan. Yeah, right. We'll see about that one. It's not, I think the things, yes, some of the people who have gone back who were also very high profile people that have turned against veganism, yes, they were either raw vegans or raw vegan for some amount of time, but a lot of them were trying, random different diets here and there, doing high carb, low carb, this and that, like raw cooked, etc. In fact, you could look at Ravana. Yeah, she was raw for some period of time, but before she went ex-vegan, she was eating cooked foods as well. And you could say, oh, well, look, there's fully raw Christina who's been fully raw, according to what she says, and she's still vegan. So if you're going to use one selective sample, I can use another. And just because, again, a handful of people are doing it, doesn't, obviously selective sample, it's a logical fallacy. There's nothing to that. Elise, I believe, was also doing fasting, if I'm not correct. Just a lot of different things just besides just doing raw veganism. And, I believe maybe Elise was doing just fruitarianism as well, and just like sweet fruits and not doing anything else as well. And I do feel like the raw veganism that I'm doing, not to say, oh, it's better than all the rest, because obviously I'm a noob and I haven't tried them both and I haven't done it different ways, but I am eating a wide variety. I'm eating grains still. I'm eating legumes still in a raw state. Lentils, millet, barley, wheat berries, spelt, all these things are on my menu. And I'm still eating, of course, fruits and vegetables, and I don't have any plans to just be a fruitarian for any length of time and not eat any greens, like do anything like that. So no, I don't plan on being the next ex-vegan. I will never, I never say never, but I'm saying I will never do that, because my ties to veganism are just way too deep to even deal with that, to even entertain that. And I feel like, I've said a lot of things about the ex-vegans, so I don't want to really get into that, but I think that I have enough resources and knowledge in healing as a 37 almost year old now. It's not like I'm some little 20 something that doesn't know what yeast infection is or something. I mean, let's be real. Giovanna. I know about enough natural ways of healing that if something were to come up, which I don't, I've only been getting healthier and healthier from the time I started to go vegan until now. I mean, look at these nails, as I'm getting more and more raw, my nails are actually growing faster and faster. And if anything comes up to where, aging is aging, my body's going to dissolve eventually, and B, there's so many different methods of healing that I would try that I'm sure would work before I ever gave up on veganism if I did have some kind of crazy health condition. But of course, if I went raw and then I got some crazy health thing, then yes, I would just go back to being regular vegan, because I have had zero issues. And like I said, nothing but an increase in health since I went high carb vegan. I'm not going raw vegan because high carb veganism didn't work for me. Okay. And I'm not even going to say I'm not raw till 4, because that backup plan is the only reason I would even ever consider going raw to begin with. I would never consider raw before, at 5 years ago, hell no. Now after I've been raw till 4 for this many years, I'm just wanting, basically an easy way to put it is, I'm just wanting to take that backup plan. It was initially, take raw till 4. It was initially created as a backup plan for raw veganism. And it's kind of grown into this thing where it's not really so much a backup plan, it's just a way of life. Like instead of, eating raw one day a week and then eating, like most people just eat a lot of cooked food. If you're like me and you're honest with yourself, like, are you really raw till 4 or are you really raw till 11:30 or 12? Let's just be honest. So no, this is not any type of vegan conspiracy. I don't know why you would think that. I mean, come on, I'm a single mother, no child support. I'm not a rich millionaire trying to make money off of people. My channel is not even monetized at this point. So there's no fucking conspiracy here. And I don't even have an agenda. I don't even have an ebook at this point, you guys. I'm not selling a single thing. I can hook you up with some Arbonne, probably. I don't even actively sell it. I'm just a member. To get the discounts. I can hook you up with some CBD, but again, this has nothing to do with raw veganism and actually would not be. So there's no conspiracy going on here. I don't know. It's just silly. You know what I mean? So I think I've already explained why I think it's a good idea. It's just what my heart is calling me to. So do I think I'm going to do it better than all the rest? Again, I'm not claiming to, and I'm not claiming to make this. I think that's what people do. When you're going raw like that, you're going to do it 100% forever. It's I've never said that. I'm going raw right now for the time being because I want to, and that's the end of the story. And do I think I'm going to do it better than all the rest? Again, I've touched on that. That's a silly and loaded question. That type of arrogance has hurt the vegan YouTube community immensely. Well, coming from somebody who probably has done less for the vegan YouTube community than Fully Raw Christina, I'd like to differ. And I get the point. I really do get the point that, that certain people and even me has kind of generalized it that, raw vegans are what creates this ex-vegan phenomenon, but that's not fact. The 99% failure rate is not even close to being a fact. There's a 98% vegan failure rate. And again, there's so many issues. You can't just say it's all raw veganism's fault. That's just silly, short-sighted, and you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, I think. So why not take a normal and balanced approach? Well, because I'm not a normal person. You know, my spirituality is so far out there, and my beliefs are so far out there, and being in a scene, being a vegan in general in the Midwest, you know, yeah, there's a lot of vegans, but most of the vegans around here are big on eating a lot of keto vegans, or you've got just regular whole food plant-based, which is great. Those I probably identify with more than anybody else. And just lots and lots of junk food vegans, lots around here. And the vegan communities kind of around here based on that. And so I am, in a sense, very lonely. I'm an introvert anyway. I'm an extremely busy mother. I work full-time. I have my kids full-time. I'm just kind of telling you that I'm not scared to walk on my own. So the fact that other people are doing something doesn't scare me. In fact, it almost intrigues me even more. It's like that quote, you know, if the masses are all doing something, do the opposite. And yeah, that's not why I'm doing this. Obviously, I've explained I have very good reasons for this. Again, just because something is normal doesn't mean I'm going to want to do it. And just because it's proven, you know, oh, like even the Seventh-day Adventists, that would be a better example, I think, than the Indians. Because as I said, the Indians eat lots of dairy. And the Indians actually are having a rising obesity rate, rising heart disease, and rising diabetes. So really, I think Indians is not the example you want to go with. But like I said, take somebody like, you know, the traditional Okinawans or the Seventh-day Adventists. And yes, why can't I just do a normal approach like they are? Well, first of all, it's what I've been doing. And I haven't felt, it's not that I haven't felt the best, because I have felt the best up until that point. It's just that I want to see if I can feel a little bit better, see if I can get a little bit more. So if you don't agree with that, again, you don't have to watch any more of my videos. And I do appreciate, you know, the questions, even the kind of snarky ones that came from the second commenter. And I hope that I, you know, have answered the questions in this lengthy video. If not, leave me some more comments, and, you know, you can continue to track my progress on this or not. It is somewhat of an experiment. Again, not scared that I'm, you know, going to go back on veganism at all. Like, not even 100% am I scared about that. So don't let that worry you. Don't be worried for me, because I feel fucking amazing. The other day I was smiling in my car for no real reason, smiling bigger than I've ever smiled. Like, I feel like in my entire life. Like I said, for no reason. I've been like singing again in the car, like in, you know, jubilee, just like happy, joyous thanks and gratitude of life. And, you know, and this is despite the fact that I can admit to you that I am lonely. I don't feel like anybody really gets me right now at all. I feel like I'm too far out there right now for any of the people that I've been, you know, with right now to really fully be like getting me right now, fully. But that's not to say that I'm giving up on them and thinking that they can't. And that's not to say that I don't think that I might attract somebody new. But this is a transitional period. So I don't know where I'm going with that. I'll go ahead and wrap this up, because I know this video is already long enough. But thanks so much for all your support, for watching, all the likes, all the subscribes, all the clicks, and, you know, everything, comments on all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, and even checking out my website at KlaireeBerry.com. That's where I keep all my scientific studies about veganism. For the time being, I might change it to more of a blog, but I'll let you guys know and keep you guys updated. Again, check out my other channel, KlaireeBerry Uncensored. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day or night, wherever, whatever you may be doing. And again, thank you so much, and take care, and don't forget to eat your fruit.